a step, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down tonight. Only just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now.
Welcome to a special edition of the HVAC Guide for Homeowners live show. We have our Tuesday night shows, but we've had a string of guests. Some of the guests have been a lot of fun. Some of them have been very informational, and I've got a couple over the next couple weeks already lined up as well. So I promised a few of you the other night on the live show that we would do a special Saturday morning Q&A. I don't get to answer all the questions when I have guests because, we have other topics. We have, what they're going to talk about. And, I just can't get to everyone's questions. And so that's why we're here. That's why we're going to do our Saturday morning show and get to some of these questions. I want to start out the show. I don't know if he is or isn't here, but I wanted to personally thank Tim C. He gave us a super chat or super thanks the other day on one of our videos, and I just wanted to say thank you to Tim. But yeah, so if you have a question, a heating and air question, feel free to drop that in the chat. We've got our chat going here, and we will get to everyone's questions today instead of, like you say, when we're on the live show and I can't get to everybody's questions. The other night, I had Tony on. Tony's a smart fellow. He, we talked about all kinds of cool things, but there was a guy named, let's see, I think his name was John. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on one second. Of course, now I'm not gonna be able to find it now that we are live. Here it is. Bear with me. Yes. So his name was John, and he asked a few questions on our live show. And so again, if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. But in the meantime, I will answer John's questions here. Let me see if I can zoom in here so you guys can see what I'm answering here. So this is the chat from the other night's live show. And so we'll start out by answering John's questions. And again, if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. John says, let's see, show you guys. So John says, when I have preventative service done, is there a check on the condenser fan that will tell me if that fan is going out? I think some of these questions, when we're talking about preventative maintenance and things to come, I think that there are some telltale signs, right? We're going to talk about what those are real quick. But I do want to just start out by saying no one's a psychic, right? I mean, you'll get a heat and air guy at your home and he'll take a few measurements and, he'll take an amp draw on the compressor or the motor or whatever. And, he'll say, well, this thing's on the fritz. This thing is close to the end of its life. And some of these measurements we take, that is true. that he is not being disingenuous. He's saying to you, hey, I'm seeing either a high amp draw, or I'm seeing low compression for the compressor, or maybe I'm hearing things, right? If we're talking about the the outdoor fan motor, maybe you can almost kind of hear the armature grinding, or maybe some knocking or some noises that are not normal. And so the heating and air tech can report to the homeowner, hey, I see this looks like it's on the fritz here. It looks like we could have a failure here soon. Do you want to get in front of that? And I think that's fine. I don't think they're up to no good by reporting those findings to you. However, no one's a psychic, right? I'll tell people, hey, I see this issue. Here's the issue. But I mean, are you going to get another 5 years out of this, or are you going to get another 5 days out of this? There's no way for me to know. And so, to answer your question, John, is there a check for the condenser fan? And there are a few tests we can run. There's certainly amp draw. We can test the windings. We can test, the how does it sound, right? Am I hearing knocking noises, or is the armature kind of wiggling when it should be nice and tight? Things like that. But amp draw is going to be your most typical test that you'll see a technician do. It doesn't take very long. They can throw an amp draw on the amp clamp on there and see, am I getting is this within range? Is it high? Is it low? And be able to kind of see things to come based on that alone. So hopefully that answers your question. I would even recommend, and I've never met Ty. I hope to someday. But there's a guy named Ty Brannaman that does some really good YouTube videos on things like this. He gets into the nitty gritty, and he's probably forgotten more things than I'll ever learn. So he gets in there and kind of shows you not just, what I might say we need to test the windings, right? And Ty's the kind of guy that he's going to cut that thing open and show you what the windings look like. So he's got some really good videos. And he's not the only one. There's some other guys that have some really good stuff out there. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Do companies still hire apprentices positions still, thinking of getting back in the life? Well, first of all, God bless you if you're getting back in to the life. I say that jokingly, obviously. But yeah. So they answer your question. Yes, it's weird. I was talking to somebody the other day. Back before the internet, right, and before the industrialization of America, right? If you were to go back when there were actual, tradesmen in every community, right? So there was the blacksmith, if you will. There was the, carpenter. There was there was all these different trades, right? Even some that we might not even necessarily consider it a trade today, but it is. So things like fishermen, right? And so back then, there were literal apprenticeship programs, depending on the culture, depending on the program itself. Some of them were a little more, better than others, a little more gracious than others. Some of them were almost like, indentured servitude. But, you could go be an apprentice under the blacksmith and learn the trade is the way it worked. Today, because it's so easy for folks to, jump around on jobs and, and let's be honest, there are jobs where they can make more money. It might not necessarily have as glamorous of a future, but, I remember a family member of mine made the hard choice to walk away from a trade and go get a job at a local factory, and because he could make more money. And that was a tough decision. I remember talking to him about it. And so I think that apprenticeships today look a little different. I think that there's still exceptions to every rule, But apprenticeships today are, you need to become a sponge. You need to read books. You need to watch YouTube videos and learn what you can from others in the trade. And the better you can do that, the more you can just really engulf yourself into the trade and learn it, the better off you're going to be. There's a lot to learn, right? I mean, I think the HVAC trade, I think this could be said about electricians and plumbers as well, but still not even to the degree, because the HVAC trade, I mean, there's just so many sectors, right? So there's the residential guys, the commercial guys, the industrial guys, and you could say that about plumbing and electrical too. But there's also wholesalers, there's also manufacturers, there's trainers, I mean, we could just go on and on and on and on about all the opportunities there are in our trade. And so if you're just starting out and you are wanting to, get into some sort of program or apprenticeship, I would, see if you can find a company that does offer that. Depending on what state you're in, there are now some states that offer that. They will pay for your education. To some degree, I don't, every state's different, but they will pay for your education. They'll pay for your, in some cases, I've heard of programs where they'll pay you, pay you for since you're kind of going back to school, almost like a college student with some of these trades. And there's another route if we're talking about college, right? So you can become a mechanical engineer. There's all kinds of opportunities out there. So do I think there are apprenticeships like the traditional way of thinking about them, like we used to see hundreds of years ago? I don't think so. Not quite the same, but there are plenty of programs out there where you can learn the trade, and do really well. I think I think there's just so many opportunities. We just had another question. How many spot do you get on a day generally? I need a little context. I'm not sure what that means, to be honest with you. How many spot? I'll need a little context on that. So, let's go back to our questions from the other night. Again, if you've got a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep rolling through. John also asked, do I need to get the exact condenser fan per manufacturer so I don't void the warranty, or can I just get a random fan motor? Thanks. So if it is under warranty, I would go back OEM. I've heard of folks putting rescue motors in there to, get the system to work, get by. If it's on a Friday and the part ain't going to be there till Monday, you can install a, PSC or ECM motor, maybe put a relay in there, maybe not, just let it run, right? Circulate that air for a couple days, might draw a little more energy, but ultimately at the end of the day, when that system's back up and rolling, you need to go back. If it's under warranty, you need to go back OEM. You need to put in the manufacturer's part. And of course, they're going to cover that if it's under warranty. So I actually learned that the hard way. When I had my business, I had a customer who I had gone out, I had diagnosed a bad motor, I had ordered the motor, and then I'd for lack of a better term, I'd left them hanging. I waited for that part to come in. And they called me back later that night and said, "Hey, listen, I'm so sorry, but we were not going to be able to wait until that part came in. So we had another company. They gave us a rescue motor. They put in a motor, got us going, and then they're going to just go ahead and get the part. We don't feel, we feel bad, and we don't want you to have to come back out here," kind of thing. And so I learned that lesson. I learned, let's go ahead and put a rescue motor in there for now, do what's best for a lot of guys in our trade don't understand. We're in the hospitality industry, especially if you're in residential. You're not in the AC repair industry. Do you fix air conditioners? Yes. But you're in the hospitality industry. Ultimately, you're in an industry where you need to do what you can to make that homeowner customer happy. And then, so when you do order a part to repair it, you're doing your absolute best to be to provide that great service, right? And the guys that know that and do that the best are the ones that do the best. So yeah, if you've got a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. It doesn't look like we're going to be here long today, guys. We have lower numbers than in the past, and maybe that's just because the weather is so amazing. At least here in Virginia, the weather is looking really nice outside. Ryan said, is he explaining the greenhouse effect? Let me see if I can find the next question from the other night. And if you don't have a question, just say hi. Just say hi in the chat. Let's see. New edition hangs on the wall. I'm just trying to find some of the questions we were not able to get to the other night. Boom. I think that's going to probably be the gist of it. There's a few others, but I'm not going to get into nitty gritty stuff right now. Anyway, I do have a couple guests coming up. We've got a guest coming up on Tuesday night. I believe she's might be the most famous person in our industry coming up on Tuesday night. So that'll be a lot of fun. Her name is Jennifer Manzo, and she's kind of everywhere. She's been on every show that I've seen. She was at the symposium on a panel. She was HVAC Tactical gave her an award this year, and she's just kind of everywhere. So we're blessed to have her on our show, and she'll be here Tuesday night. And then the week after next, so not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, we've got one of the high top executives at Daikin is going to be coming on our show to share a few things. So pretty cool. We've got just a great lineup of guests, and I've got a few more coming after them too, but nothing's set in stone yet. Anyway, I'm going to just go ahead and wrap it up. We've been having some good numbers on Tuesday nights. If you haven't seen our Tuesday night HVAC show, I would invite you to come and join us on those. And I'll probably do this again next Saturday morning and answer some questions if you've got any. And again, thank you to Tim for his super chat this week. So come join us on Tuesday nights. Also, if you're in the trades, if you are an electrician, plumber, heat and air guy, some other trade, I do have some spots open. If you go to our website, New HVAC Guide, and then go all the way, it's newhvacguide.com, and go to the bottom and click on growth groups. And that is for business owners only. But we have some groups that they're almost masterminds. They're basically masterminds. And these guys, you can rub elbows with other folks that are fighting the same fight that you are. And I do have a few spots open. So go check that out. Other than that, y'all have a great weekend. I will be back again Tuesday night, live, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And we'll get another good guest. We'll see you then. Take care.